Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi. Now recently I received a very kind box of bits donated by Bruce Allen. It was mainly Action Man stuff, but in that box was also this 1970s Kiss MEGO doll. Now this is Paul Stanley from Kiss, and this is one of the sort of 12-inch dolls, although he is slightly bigger than 12 inches because obviously he has platform shoes on. Now the doll itself is in actually really nice condition. I did a little bit of cleaning on him, but he didn't need anything fixing. But what he does need is a better guitar, because this guitar here, if I carefully take it off the Paul Stanley doll, you can see is a cardboard cutout of a guitar. Now this was actually on the box when you bought these old MEGO dolls, and you were supposed to cut it out and stick it onto some cardboard and then attach a bit of string to it, and that was the guitar that you were supposed to use with these figures. But as you can see, this one has seen better days. It's obviously lasted, well, nearly 40 years, but is a little bit worse for wear. So today we are going to recreate this guitar using this poorly example here as the starting point, so that Paul Stanley can get back up and playing guitar on stage with the rest of the band. So let's have a go at recreating this guitar. Now this is actually a pretty good sort of starting point for me, although it's got quite a lot of damage. It has some paint over it because at some point this was stuck onto some just normal sort of corrugated cardboard, and the back has been painted blue to match the guitar. But obviously, as this was a child doing it, all of the paint has sort of come around the edges and it's actually on the front section of the guitar. Also, the neck has been broken, as you would expect, because it's quite a thin piece, and there's some damage to the surface where staples have come through. But even still, this is a good starting point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan this in on a flatbed scanner to get the rough sort of details of it. Then I've had a quick look on the MEGO Museum website to see if they've got any information on this guitar, and they have quite a small scan of it, but it's good enough for what I need, because I'm going to use that as the sort of guide for the exact shape and size that this needs to be, because obviously the neck is a bit bent. But I reckon with a little bit of sort of Photoshop work, I should be able to recreate this, and we can then start again at making Paul Stanley's guitar. So let's go into Photoshop and see what we can do with this guitar. After about an hour's work in Photoshop, I've ended up with this, which is a recreation, or at least a sort of tidied up version of Paul Stanley's guitar. As you can see, I've brightened up the colours, I've tidied up all the lines, I've put a new edge around it, and I've completely redrawn the neck, because obviously this was quite badly damaged here, so it was easier to redraw it. But you can see we've ended up something which is the exact same scale as this original one here. Now I've printed this onto sticky backed glossy paper, because obviously we need to stick this onto some cardboard. This file will be available from toy-polloi.com, so if you want to do this for yourself, then go there and you can download this for free and make your own guitar for Paul Stanley. So now we've got this all printed out, I need some cardboard, and I found in my sort of supplies box, this is the backing to a sort of cardboard backed envelope, and the cardboard on it is not as thick as this stuff, but I think it will do quite nicely, because you don't want anything too thick. This is sort of reminds me a little bit of a cornflake package, which is probably what I would have used as a child. So I cut the front bit of paper off. I'm just going to place that down there, and because this is sticky backed printer paper, I can just stick this straight onto the cardboard. If you don't have sticky backed printer paper, then you'll have to just glue it using something like a Pritt stick or some other sort of similar paper glue. But this stuff is great because it saves quite a lot of time, and I use this a lot for making these stickers for other toys, as you'll have seen. So we can unpeel that. I'm going to stick this just on the corner. It should stick down really nicely. And then we've got the fun task of cutting this out. I'm going to use a scalpel to cut this out, because I want to get some sort of fairly nice sort of neat lines, and I think a scalpel is going to be the way to go. So let's get this cut out, and then we can attach some string or maybe even a bit of elastic and get Paul Stanley back up and rocking. And here we have it cut out. Now honestly, that was actually pretty tough work, just because it's such an awkward shape. I did actually sort of slightly damage this top edge here, so I may reprint this and do it again, but for the sake of this video I think that will do. But it's a pretty good cutout. It's a very awkward shape, so do take a lot of time when cutting it out. Now on the original guitar that was sent over by Bruce, you can see he'd cut off these little tabs. Now these were on here on the original diagram that I got off the MEGO museum website, so I've added those back on, and that's where the string is supposed to be tied to attach it sort of around the neck. So we're going to use those original fixings. I think Bruce had looks like he's stapled on a little bit of sort of, it looks like an old shoelace to me, sort of actually where the guitar straps should sort of strap on, but we're going to use the original fixings here just because I think it looks, well, we want to try and keep this as original as possible. So I've got some elastic, because I think elastic will sort of make it slightly easier to sort of be able to put this over the figure's head. Now this is the sort of elastic that I use for fixing Action Man, so this is 3mm flat elastic, and you can buy it very cheaply. You can see I've got quite a lot of it here, and it's the sort of stuff that I use quite regularly for fixing Action Man. So I'm just going to cut off a length of this, some sort of about that long, just enough that it can hang around his neck, and then we can just sort of tie it off at the sort of key points. So I've got some scissors here. Now I've made two tiny little holes through this just using a screwdriver, and I'm hoping if I get a pair of tweezers I should be able to pass the elastic through. If not, I might have to get a needle to do this. But let's try with just some tweezers first. It's going to be very fiddly to do. Yeah, that is pretty fiddling. Let's try this a different way. Let's put the thread in like that. We'll push through. That's better. There you go, so that's one bit through there. And I think if we just tie this, I could just do one little stitch there. Might be a bit neater, so I'll do one little stitch, I think, and then I can thread the other end through, and we'll sort of work out how tall it needs to be for Paul to wear this. Now we can do the same at the other end. So again, I'm just going to use the tweezers to push that through. And at this point we can work out how long we actually need this bit of elastic to be. So here's the guitar roughly in place, and I reckon if I just pull that elastic a little bit more, maybe something like that is a good sort of position. Sort of hangs where the hands should be. So we'll make that the length the elastic needs to be. So here we are, this is the replacement guitar that I've just made. There's the original one. You can see I've made it a lot brighter and a lot more sort of vibrant in colour, because I think that colour has faded over the years, and obviously this one is a bit broken and busted. So now we have this new one with the bit of elastic to go around the neck. We can just drop that over Paul Stanley's head and put that in place so that he's now ready to rock with the rest of Kiss. Now this file, as I say, is available on toy-polloi.com, so if you want to make your own one, then you can go there and download it. It could be that if you wanted to print this out and stick it onto some thin wood, it might be better that you could make this out of a little bit of wood and it'd be a lot sturdier, but I've tried to keep this looking as original as possible, and the idea with these guitars was to stick them onto a bit of cardboard and sort of make your own little guitar, which seems a bit cheap really. I would have much preferred if back in the day they'd actually made some plastic guitars to go with these figures. But having said that, making it out of cardboard and sticking it together is pretty good fun, and as a child I think you'd have had quite a lot of fun making this guitar for your action figure. So I have to say a big thank you to Bruce Allen, who very kindly donated this doll and guitar, and thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.